In a surprise few would have expected, President Cyril Ramaphosa has legislated into being one of the most far-reaching and divisive pieces of law in South African democracy's history, a bill aimed not at silencing the opposition or public protests, but at striking at the very center of his own political base, the African National Congress. The law, officially known as the Parliamentary Integrity and Conduct Reform Act, gives the executive branch authorities never before seen in South Africa, authorizing the President and his office to institute disciplinary inquiries, mete out sanctions, suspend members of Parliament from service, or even expel them outright if they are guilty of misconduct, corruption, or dereliction of duty. For years, Ramaphosa has talked of his new dawn, vowing to restore the ANC as a clean, ethical party that could recapture the confidence of South Africans. But until now, those pledges have too often been laughed off as rhetoric, encumbered by perpetual delays, internal struggles, and compromises. This law marks a sea change. Ramaphosa has passed the point of no return. Addressing the country after signing the bill, the president spoke with rare passion, declaring, "This is not about vengeance, it is about accountability. The people of South Africa deserve better than the corruption, the infighting, and the sabotage we have tolerated for far too long." The political establishment is shaken, and the shockwave impacted immediately, not only because the law was enacted, but because of who was dismissed first. Hours after the law came into effect, Ramaphosa's office issued a statement that Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, Gwede Mantashe, had been dismissed of his parliamentary responsibilities. Mantashe, an ANC heavyweight, was not a common target. For decades he embodied the entrenched old guard, defending the ANC against detractors while constructing networks of influence in mining and energy. Up to now, he was even one of the most stalwart defenders of Ramaphosa within the party. But accounts have long associated Mantashe with neglect in handling South Africa's power crisis, charges of facilitating tainted deals in the mining industry, and damning financial impropriety identified through internal audits. Ramaphosa's action was therefore precise. If he intended to make a statement that no one was immune, he could not have chosen better. The message is loud and clear: no one is safe any longer. The new law permits instant suspension of MPs under investigation, depriving them of parliamentary immunity, barring them from votes or debates, and refusing them government-paid legal defenses. The executive has never had such a weapon before. Opponents both within and outside the ANC are outraged. Veteran party leaders have branded the bill a betrayal, calling Ramaphosa a dictator in sheep's clothing. Some factions are already drafting a motion of no confidence, while lawyers prepare constitutional court challenges, contending that the act erodes the division of powers and conveys perilous authority into the hands of one man. But in a twist of fate, opposition parties, the same competitors who normally attack Ramaphosa, are cheering. The Democratic Alliance, and even some members of the Economic Freedom Fighters, have cautiously embraced the reform, labeling it long overdue and the first possible step towards purging Parliament of corruption within the ANC itself. Though the repercussions have been explosive, Ramaphosa has set a fire under his own party. If Mantashe could fall, who else might be next? Rumors circulate through Latuli House and Parliament that names are being mentioned: Nomolo Yen, David Malobo, Linda Zulu, all establishment figures, all charged with improper conduct or factional destabilization. Sources indicate that Ramaphosa's inner circle has prepared a secret list of between 15 MPs and ministers targeted for investigation, with further removals to come in batches. Some ANC branches have vowed open rebellion, accusing the president of weaponizing reform to eliminate his political rivals, while others see the writing on the wall and are quietly preparing to jump ship, potentially forming splinter parties that could shatter the ANC's decades-long dominance of South African politics. For regular citizens, the mood is ambivalent. On Twitter and Facebook, encouragement of Ramaphosa's bluntness is rallying, with hashtags such as #CleanANC and #RamaphosaStrikes trending. People who had lost hope in the ANC long ago are tentatively optimistic that perhaps, finally, there is genuine accountability. Yet some are not so sure. Legal academics and civil society organizations warn of danger. Today it's Mantashe, tweeted one person, but tomorrow it might be anyone brave enough to speak against the president. What if Ramaphosa or a future leader uses this measure not to combat corruption but to gag critics? The risk Ramaphosa is taking is colossal. He is gambling his presidency, his tenuous coalitions, and his political existence on this high-reward, high-stakes reform. If the act succeeds, he may secure his place as the man who finally ended ANC corruption, restoring dignity to parliament and hope to a fatigued public. If it fails, he may be remembered as the leader who destroyed his own party from the inside, hastening the ANC's collapse. What cannot be denied is that the battlefield has changed. Parliament is no longer a refuge for those hiding behind party loyalty or privilege. Each MP knows they could be next. Behind the scenes, ANC factions are in turmoil, holding emergency sessions. The old guard is said to be mobilizing a strategy to remove Ramaphosa before the purge goes further, while others call for calm, hoping the courts will intervene. For the opposition, the spectacle is surreal. For once, they don't need to attack the ANC, the ruling party is tearing itself apart. Yet South Africa hangs in the balance. On one hand, the prospects for reform and accountability have never been brighter. On the other, the risk of authoritarian drift and ANC self-destruction threatens to plunge the country into crisis. What began as rumors of reform has erupted into civil war within the ruling party. Ramaphosa's new dawn has arrived, but at a price no one envisioned. While the nation watches, it is clear this is only the beginning. The coming days will bring new names, disclosures, and battles that will reshape South Africa's political landscape forever. And for Ramaphosa, it is all or nothing. He has placed his hand firmly on the wheel, steering the ANC into uncharted waters, and whether he emerges as a reformer or a destroyer will only be known in time.